Namaste, my name is Amish Tripathi and I'm the director of the Nehru Centre, London. Now, some may think of Nehru Centre as just this beautiful fine building, and it is a fine building, no doubt. We have a wonderful art gallery out here. We have an awesome auditorium on the first floor with a capacity of 100 to 120 people right here in the heart of central London in Mayfair. But the Nehru Centre is a lot more than this fine building. The Nehru Centre is also an online platform. We are available on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram and on YouTube. And so the Nehru Centre is actually wherever you want it to be. Of course, we'd love for you to come to the physical events that we organize out here when we do organize them. But do join all our online platforms as well. This is a hybrid world. We are going to have offline physical events and online events as well. So do join our online platforms and do keep giving us feedback of what you think of it. We'd love to host you out there. We'd love to hear what you think of our events, and do keep sending in your suggestions as well. We do keep imbibing and learning from the feedback that you give to us to give you programs that you guys might enjoy. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Namaste. Jai Hind.
Hi, Namaste, good evening from Professor E. Sharma, and thank you for having me here, the Nehru Centre, London, and welcome audience. And we are here for a very, very important topic, the diet of enlightenment, Sattvic diet. Which is the strongest medicine in the world? Ayurveda 10,000 years back told food is the strongest medicine. Because the day we were born, and to the day we die, we keep on eating without fail. So very small error or a very small correction towards our diet is bound to snowball into something huge. That is why the first pediatrician of the world, Kashyap, did tell the diet to be Mahabhaishaj, the biggest medicine of all. And Ayurveda has very clearly told about the diets being the Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic. And these days we do listen about a lot of vegan diet. So what is Ahara? It is responsible for life. Ayurveda says, what is the difference between a living and a dead body? The only difference is Vata, Pitta, Kapha, Tridosha. The living entity will be having Tridosha, while the lifeless entity will not be having Tridosha. That is the only observable and measurable parameter, Tridosha. And where do we get Tridosha from? How do we keep on producing Vata, Pitta, Kapha? Only from the food we eat. So Tridosha coming from food is responsible for life. And this is, we don't just eat out of taste. It is an offering to Agni Devta, to the Agni deity. So whatever we put into our mouth, we should be very responsible. We have to be mindful while eating, and we should just not be eating out of taste. And like we are offering something very pious to the fire god. In the same manner, with the same respect, we should be receiving our food. And it offers a strength, complexion, and a tissue development as told by Ayurveda text, and it affects and produces mind. We become what we eat. Surely this goes beyond being an idiom. You will be surprised to know that the human body shares the genome with banana to an extent of 70%. The human body and a banana are 70% matching when it comes to genome. And to an orangutan, it is 99.5%. So the food we are eating, the genes from that food of animal origin or plant origin, are very likely to imbibe, to incorporate into our genome. And that's how we actually can become what we eat. That is, we may attract a gene from a banana or an apple you eat. That is where it is rightly said it affects and produces mind. And this is more than nutrient. It's like a link to to personal emotions, comfort. It releases natural opioids which make us more happy. It is a reward mechanism. It is de-stressor. That is why many people overeat when they are stressed, because they derive some kind of reward. Ayurveda dietetics is the most complete. The Western medicine has been, the World Health Organization has been proposing many food plates since 1974. The first food plate came in 1974 for the financial reasons, because many people believed in 60s and 70s that they could only be healthy when if they could afford like very costly food, if they could eat luxurious food. And this misconception was driving them nuts, and they were stressed. Oh, we cannot afford very costly food, how can we be healthy? That is when, for the financial reasons, WHO came up with a food plate that you need not buy any expensive food. If you can eat bare minimum of like proteins, carbs, and carbohydrates and fats, and some minerals and vitamins, then you can be very healthy. And then they kept on changing food plates, like 1991, 1998, 2004, 2011, 2018. The World Health Organization is evolving with with its food plates. They still have to find a right fit, and unfortunately they are not able to discover one, because one size might not fit all. We are different bodies, and Ayurveda believes there are 7 types of human bodies, what we call sharirik prakriti, your constitution. Up until that individuality is factored in, we cannot reach to a like a foolproof conclusion when it comes to food plate. So Ayurveda believes your ahara or diet deciding factors are the nature of the food, how do we combine, which the modern medicine doesn't much believe in, how do we process, volume is very very important, kala or time or age, what time are you eating, are you taking a heavy dinner, what is your age, what place are you eating, then dietetic principles, and the consumer, what are your individual parameters, what are your health situations and all that, then all these 8 are factored in to reach to a right mix for you. And surely the food plate ignores most of these factors. Now, nature of the food can be heavy or light, it can be cold or dry, it can be hot or cold by nature. 100 grams of apple might not be equal to 100 ml of oil. Both are 100 gram or 100 ml, but because of their quality, their nature, that is where we have to be very careful to be minimal with consumptions of sugars and salt. These two are really really almost equal to white poisons. We do not require man-made sugars and man-made salt. Do we require salt and sugar to live? Yes. The nature has given us natural salts and natural sugars. The man-made white sugars and salt, these surely are not for us, and they surely are going to serve no purpose beyond our tongue. They are useful for the 6 inches of tongue, that is, they give us taste, and after that there are kilometers of damage. So sugar, will you believe, has got the same chemical mechanism after a single conversion in liver, and then it acts like alcohol. And this is as addictive for brain as cocaine. It's very difficult to get rid of sugar addiction. In the same manner, you have to reduce salt, man-made salt and man-made sugar as much as possible. Vegan diet is surely something very new. It was not known to Ayurveda, because Ayurveda did include milk and many milk products in the human diet. But vegan diet has got its own benefits. This is cost effective, lowers body mass index. The most important thing is it lowers BMI. Blood pressure is reduced, HbA1c. The 90-day average sugar control shown by glycosylated hemoglobin. HbA1c is lowered. That is you can ensure a better sugar control, diabetes control. It lowers cholesterol also, reduces heart disease, obesity, cancers, and many more diseases. And why so? Because of animal versus plant hormones. Animal hormones are more aggressive, they are more sharp. Animal genes are more aggressive, whereas the plant hormones and plant genes are more bland, they are milder. They do not attack your genomic composition in the same manner as the animal hormones and animal genes do. That is where, and plant hormone and plant diet is surely laden with fibers which we all require very badly. Animal food will be devoid of fibers which we essentially require. And Ayurveda believes upset stomach, your upset digestion is the foundation to each and every disease. Which is the most important organ as per Ayurveda in the human body? The gastrointestinal tract. Your intestines rank above brain, heart, liver, or kidney. So your intestines are the most important organ, and to ensure a better health at your intestines, what Ayurveda calls Koshtha, vegan diet is surely exceptional and very, very useful. The best foods, if you go to Charak like 10,000 years back, then shali rice and rock salt, amlaki and milk, ghee, honey, etc. These were told to be the best food among all categories. Combinations are usually what we err maximum. And there are so many unhealthy combinations, but to simplify, if we can remove milk from our food, because milk is a bad combination with salt, meat, fish, eggs, fruit, yogurt, and other milk products. So if we can take out one thing, milk, then we by and large will be safe when it comes to bad food combinations, incompatible food combinations. So I strongly suggest, as told by Sushruta also, we are Shirad up to the age 6 months. That is when we are born, up to the age 6 months. Sushruta has told, the father of Indian surgery 10,000 years back, we are termed as Shirad. That is, we survive upon Shir, that is milk. From the age of 6 months to 2 years, that is for the next 18 months, we are Shir Annad. We survive upon Shir, that is milk, and Ann, that is food, solid food. But when we are 2 year and above, we are termed as Annad. That is, we should survive. We should be surviving solely upon un only and not on milk. And milk surely is a very bad combination. The next is, how do we process? What utensil do we use? What temperature do we cook at? High temperature cooking as barbecue can lead to protein degeneration and can lead to cancers. Honey cannot be heated, because we have seen many dishes in the Western culture where honey is heated. Now, yogurt versus buttermilk. If we churn yogurt with water, it becomes lighter. Yogurt would be difficult to digest, but buttermilk would be very easy to digest. It is the best probiotic we have got. Volume. Now, this is the most important modifiable factor, which is the most underrated, highly ignored. Because most of us, many of us, many times tell, oh, today I overate. Now, undereating. How much undereating? You should be undereating by 25% of your appetite. If you should assess your hunger, you should introspect, you should see inside, you should try to assess, okay, this is my food volume, I want to eat this much. Then you should be eating 75% of that only. You should never eat 100%, and you should never overeat. Now, Ayurveda told there are three states of matter: solid, liquid, gas. 50% of the appetite should be replaced by solid food, 25% by liquid food, and the remaining 25% should be left empty for air movement, or for the movement of the food, what we call for vata movement. Now, there has been a theory, if you Google the theory of calorie restriction, it is the longest ongoing research with multiple legs and multiple aspects. Calorie restriction theory like 30 years back, came to a conclusion when it conducted some animal experiments. Various sets of animals were given like 100% food, 90%, 80%, 70%, so on. And this CR theory came to the conclusion that the animals who received between 70 to 80% of food survived up to 140% of their life expectancy in that very same life. They lived 40% extra because those animals were given the same food volume. Like some animals were given 10% of their requirement only till the animals died. The second set was given 20% of their full appetite. The third was given 30%, 40%, so on. So the animals who received 70 to 80% of food survived longer. And when the same experiment was conducted in the human beings, cardiac markers and cancer markers came down by 65% within 2 months of being on this Ayurveda intermittent fasting. Now, intermittent fasting can be 8 hours, 16 hours as told by Ayurveda. That is, you should be eating at 10 a.m., 6 p.m. Then you again eat at 10 a.m. next morning. This becomes 8 hours, 16-hour intermittent fasting. Or you could be practicing intermittent fasting, calorie restriction with every meal. Every time you are eating 75% of your appetite only. So there are multiple ways and means to practice intermittent fasting. And very interestingly, for the year 2016, the Nobel Prize was given to Professor Ohsumi for establishing autophagy. Now, what did he do? Ayurveda gave a shloka 10,000 years back, which says, Aharam pachti shikhi dosha nahar varjita. That is, your metabolism, your digestive fire will be digesting your food. In case of no food, it will be digesting your toxins. Dosha nahar varjita, it would be burning your doshas, your toxins. The same was proven under a microscope by Professor Ohsumi, where he developed some diseases in the yeast model, and he simply did not feed the yeast model uh, fungi with food. And when he observed after like 8 to 12 hours, he could see autophagy. The yeast cells were eating, their vacuoles were eating those diseased entities, those inclusion bodies inside the cell. So, if you give your intestine some relief, if you practice some kind of fasting, intermittent fasting, or calorie restriction, all your metabolism, all your energy would be redirected to combust, to destroy your toxins from your blood and from your cells. That is, your own system would be eating your toxins. That is called autophagy, self eating. So, any kind of intermittent fasting, what is suitable to you as per your belief, as per your religion, your culture, as per your maybe scientific justification, in one manner or the other, we have to practice intermittent fasting. This is going to turn this hospital less world very soon. Like, the world would not be requiring any hospitals if everyone practices intermittent fasting for maybe 10 years. So surely this is very, very effective. Time, when should we be eating? We normally should be eating when we are hungry, and unfortunately many of us might not have experienced what is real hunger, because we are eating by wall clock. We do not observe our body clock, and because the wall clock says this is lunchtime, dinner time, breakfast time, we are eating. The body could be crying, shouting, I am not feeling like eating, but we eat. Oh no, I should be eating, I would become weak. Overeating leads to various ama diseases, what the modern medical science knows as free radicals. Free radicals or oxidants are being produced by stress and by overeating. Now, we regularly take our vehicle for periodic maintenance, but we do not take care of this particular vehicle, the human body. If you simply stop overburdening it with food, it is a like a self-healing machinery. It doesn't require any mechanic. It would repair itself. Only we should be giving some rest to our like food pipe, our gastrointestinal tract. There is one very interesting saying: yogi or one who's really enlightened, a highly spiritual person would be eating once a day just to survive. A bhogi, an average worldly person like me, would be eating twice a day, that is 10 a.m., 6 p.m. Twice a day is an average person like eats every day. Yogi eats once a day, bhogi eats twice a day, and a rogi, a patient, would be eating thrice a day. So the third meal you are eating is actually for your doctors, so that you stay unhealthy and your doctors survive. So we have to anyhow, we have to cut down upon the food consumption we are practicing. Very, very important. Place, Ayurveda says it has to be a private place. It cannot be a an eating outlet. You cannot be eating at a public place. That is what Ayurveda very strongly believes. It has to be with your family, with your friends, and a very personal affair. It's not a public affair. Anxiety and digestion. Sometimes many of us are not mindful while eating. They are thinking there are so many things on their mind, and they are eating at the same time. They are watching television and they are eating, they are chatting, they are on a business meeting, they are cracking ideas and they are eating, you know, because they believe food doesn't require concentration. They have so much on their mind and they are eating, and this is bound to upset their digestion, because anxiety would be producing so many stress hormones like adrenaline, growth hormone, glucagon, thyroxine, and the gastric and intestinal secretions would be reduced, and we cannot process the food very well. We cannot digest food very well. Blood pressure would go up, digestive secretions would go down, and we will end up being into a bad digestion. So surely you have to be mindful of what you are eating, how are you eating. You have to experience your food with all the senses, and you have to cherish and be happy with your food. As we broke the discussion open, food is a very big source of happiness. When we eat, we feel happy. That is why many people, when they are stressed, they overeat, because they derive some happiness from food. That is where you have to be very careful, very mindful of how and when do you eat. And then the individual has to be taken into consideration before deciding any particular diet for anyone. Like, how's your metabolism, what is your body type, your age, your compatibility, your liking, your diseases, everything has to be factored in. Then only a right a dietary decision can be made for anyone. Abnormal diet, there can be so many types, like we are overeating, we are undereating, or we are eating when not hungry. There are so many types of abnormal diet as per Ayurveda, which we have to surely consider. And we should, the biggest mistake would be eating when you are not hungry. That is the biggest mistake you can make. There are so many eating disorders as per the modern dietetics. It could be anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, or binge eating disorders. We will not be going into their detail, so we can still give it a miss. Anorexia nervosa is a common problem with young girls who are obsessed with a particular kind of physical shape. So they fear eating. They are obsessed with not eating, and they keep on losing weight, and eventually they suffer from many medical conditions. So if your weight is less than 85% of your standard weight, and you have intense fear of weight gain, or absence of 3 consecutive menstruation periods, because young girls are common victims if they miss periods for 3 months consecutively. And then sometimes like a binge eating and purging behavior, if these are found, then we can declare that particular girl to be having anorexia nervosa disorder, and they are surely obsessed with the weight loss, and they go to an extreme which can be really fatal. It can lead to multiple parameters breakdown, including your bone marrow, blood formation, heart rate, blood pressure, and body temperature. Everything is everything goes wayward, and many times it can be fatal. So surely such extreme uh, practices should be avoided when it comes to food. And surely bulimia nervosa is another condition when a patient is feeling very hungry. Ayurveda believes this is due to an excessive agni, and there are repeated episodes of binge eating, and such persons interestingly can digest well. There are they can be practicing because they are aware of their excessive eating. They could be practicing purging, vomiting, diuretics, anemia, etc. But surely fasting and exercise and all measures should be tried to maintain a normal body weight. So, how do we diagnose recurrent episodes of binge or purge eating? An average more than two binge eatings and purge cycles every week for 3 months, then we can label someone to be having this condition of bulimia nervosa, excessive eating. And this is not very common with with males. Again, male to female, the ratio is 1:10, rare in childhood, and 50% of those who are having anorexia nervosa can later on develop bulimia nervosa. Both are extremes. And athletes, actors, dancers, players, runners who are more concerned with their physical look, and especially female group, is more susceptible. Okay, usually females college students, and they can be a bit of overweight and a tendency to put on. That's why they uh, practice this. They keep on trying various weight loss diet plans. They are impulsive and they do not have a very high self-esteem, and then they are at more risk to suffer from bulimia nervosa and anorexia nervosa. And eventually, it can lead to depression. It can come from depression, and these persons are specially preoccupied with food. And those, when they are suffering from bulimia nervosa, they will have a very special character of rushing to toilets after every meal, because they want to throw out, because they know that they have eaten a lot, and they could be visiting toilet just to throw up, to purge. They use laxatives, enemas, and they try to throw up or excrete in any natural or unnatural manner. They want to get rid of food. Vomiting is the commonest compensatory behavior, like up to 50 to 75% calories are already absorbed, so it's not of much use. But anyway, they just try it. And as they finish their food, they rush to toilet, they finger their mouth, and they throw up. And this is a very common sign. The knuckles could be showing Russell signs. So if a young girl is seen with such a sign, a doctor can make out, okay, maybe she could be suffering from bulimia nervosa, excessive impulsive overeating, followed by throwing up, followed by purging, by vomiting. And because when the girl or this patient tries to vomit and they insert fingers, the teeth would be damaging your knuckles, and you would be having such permanent scars and permanent lesions would be there over your knuckles. Now, binge eating surely is like a behavior which comes from stress mainly, and occurs in 30 to 50% of subjects in weight control programs. Male is to female are almost equal for the binge eating. And we could be seeing many people who are at working at a stressful condition. They are the commonest victims, and more common with obese individuals with history of restrictive dieting. 50% exhibit clinical depression and anxiety, and they are not much preoccupied with their body shape, and onset in adolescence or early 20s, when they are in the beginning of their careers, and they cannot handle the stress and can lead to binge eating. And binge eating, in a way, because we have seen that food gives you happiness, they derive some happiness from food, and eventually this is such a bad trade-off. They land into very bad physical and psychological health. And how do we diagnose recurrent episodes of binge eating? At least two per week for more than 6 months, then only you can label someone to be suffering from binge eating. And they might not be having compensatory behavior. That is, they might not be using laxative or vomiting or throwing up or diuretic. They won't be going for any compensation. They eat and they're happy with it. And surely, because of their pre-existing conditions, they are distressed, they feel disgust, guilt, depression, etc. There is a lot of stress, but when it comes to eating, they are not much bothered and they do not try to compensate by any like recovery mechanism. Now, Vata Pitta Kapha diet, very, very important. You have to know what your body type is, and if you are Vata type or if you have a Vata problem, then your diet has to be warm, moist, oily, a bit heavy, mostly cooked, and sweet, sour, salty tastes are anti-Vata, and spicy foods are good. Refrigerator is very bad for you. So, are you a Vata person or is your problem a Vata one? That surely can be consulted with an Ayurveda doctor. We are there to help you out. We can guide you in a way like by remote counseling through Nehru Center, that okay, you seem to be a Vata person, or your physical or psychological parameters seem to be more Vata like. In either case, your diet has to be like this. In the same manner, we have a Pitta diet, which the foods which decrease pitta are cool, raw, green, soothing, sweet, bitter, and astringent taste. These foods are anti-pitta. So pitta diet means which reduces pitta. Vata diet is which reduces vata. So if you are a pitta person or your physical or psychological symptoms are pitta predominant, like you have got inflammations, short temperament, and a lot of maybe acidity, acid peptic disorders, repeated inflammations with maybe urinary tract, or excessive bleedings like maybe dysfunctional uterine bleeding in ladies, then you are suffering from a pitta problem, and your diet has to be cool, raw, green, soothing, and the taste you eat should be sweet, bitter, and astringent. Fruits and vegetables are the best for you, and cold water or milk can also be taken. If you are a kapha person, or if your psychological or physical symptoms are kapha predominant, then you have to reduce your kapha with kapha diet. And what is a kapha diet? It has to be warm, light, dry, cooked vegetables, and pungent, bitter, and astringent tastes are anti-kapha. Warm water surely is a very good anti-kapha. And the sweet, salty, and sour foods are very bad for you. Sugars, heavy food, oily, creamy, etc., they aggravate kapha, and your kapha body type or your kapha diseases surely would not be controlled. So you have to avoid sweet, salty, and sour taste. Now, this is a bit technical because we believe Vata Pitta Kapha sustain life, and Vata Pitta Kapha come from food, and this is the manner in which they are produced by the taste, by the six taste food has got: sweet, sour, saline, pungent, bitter, and astringent. Madhur, Amla, Lavan, Katu, Tikt, Kashaya. These are the six tastes, and these six tastes are producing and suppressing Vata Pitta Kapha. So, by the virtue of these six tastes only, Vata Pitta Kapha are influenced, and they decide our ultimate health. Now, one thing is very interesting: how should we drink water when it comes to food? And how to drink water is many times like there are so many myths about it. Ayurveda says drinking warm water before your food is amrit. It is nectar. It is the most beneficial if you drink water before your meal. Drinking water with your meal, drinking warm water with your meal is a medicine. That is, drinking water with your meal is the next best thing. But drinking water after your meal would be working as a poison. That is how we should not drink water for half an hour to 1 hour after the meal is over, and we should be starting our food with one glass full of warm water. Then we should start our food, and we should keep sipping water during the meal. In this manner, we can ensure that we replace some calories by water, and we end up having less calorie intake, and we are saved in a way to some extent from this calorie overload. That is how drinking water before your meal and drinking water with your meal surely be very, very healthy. Examples from various taste groups can be like sweet, wheat, rice, not only sugars, all the food groups we are discussing are sweet in nature. Wheat, rice, butter, milk, sweet cream, ghee, honey, sugar, ripe fruits, these all are from the category sweet. These should not be taken if you are a diabetic or if you are overweight, high cholesterol, or if you are a kapha type or you have got any kapha problem anywhere. Sour category would be citrus fruits and many kinds of unripe fruits, yogurt, mango powder, pomegranate, tamarind. These are the sour category foods. Saline would be salts only, and bitter, which is a very, very healthy group. Bitter is the best for skin and for liver. So bitter group would be bitter gourd, many fresh vegetables, turmeric, fenugreek, etc. These are the bitter food group, and you should be taking if your cholesterol is high or if your liver is not healthy. Pungent would be sharp food items which are like chili, ginger, black pepper, clove, mustard, spices, etc., which are pro agni, which are pro metabolism. And surely, if you have got indigestion, then this is the best group to be taken by you. Astringent like beans, pulses, turmeric, most vegetables, unripe. This is a food category which is rich in astringent taste. And astringent taste is the best if you have got edema or water accumulation or high cholesterol. For high cholesterol, water overload, and edema of any sort, astringent group will be the most handy to you. It would be the most helpful. Then there is this Mahabhuta combination. We will not be detailing this right now because we can have some time for Q&A. So we don't go into the technical detail of these six tastes. Now, Anupana is what we drink after anything is Anupana. So Anu represents following, afterwards, and Pana is to drink. So after drink, it can affect the property of a meal or a medicine. So cold, warm water decoction, etc., can be taken after food or after medicine. As we told, Anupana, the food which you are taking, water has got a very important role to play with the food you are taking. You should be taking food before, uh, like water intake should be before your food and with your food, but after your food there should not be any water consumption. It would be depressing your gastric secretions and can lead to various indigestion problems. Maybe we can welcome if there are some questions or some discussion topics. You are welcome to put in the chat box. Okay. So even if you have got some questions, and okay, there is one question: is honey a good substitute for sugar, or would jaggery be a better substitute? I very strongly believe that honey and jaggery both are better than sugar, but one should not be believing, because I have seen many patients, many diabetic patients who believe, okay, sugar is bad, but jaggery is better, honey is better, so we take honey and jaggery. Now this is a misconception. Sugar is the worst for a diabetic or for anyone, and jaggery and honey would be lesser harmful, but surely should not be taken by the diabetics, because both have got sugars, have got unpurified sugars. That is where they have more fibers, etc. That is why they are less harmful, but I believe should be avoided in toto by the diabetics. Or if you are overweight or if you have got kapha, then you should be avoiding honey and jaggery as well. Okay, room temperature water is fine if you are drinking, like before your meal you are sipping some water, or with your meal you are sipping some water, then room temperature is fine. But warm water is a very strong medicine, and cold, refrigerator did not exist in Ayurveda. And you can simplify: the bigger refrigerator you have at your home and the more stuffed your refrigerator is, the less healthy you are. So if you have got no refrigerator at home, which might not be practically possible, so if you have a smaller refrigerator and it is mostly empty, then you are surely a very healthy group. So try not to stuff your refrigerator. Try to have a smaller refrigerator and don't depend much upon refrigerator. The more you depend upon refrigerator, the less health you are bound to enjoy. You cannot be very healthy. So refrigerator is surely something very, very unhealthy. Because cold, Ayurveda says, out of Vata Pitta Kapha, Vata is the most potent dosha. This can cause any damage, and cold is a very strong property of Vata. So if cold weather or anything chilled from refrigerator, we are actually nourishing Vata, and Vata would surely go out of control and can create havoc sooner or later. So cold water doesn't come from Ayurveda. Room temperature is fine, and warm is surely a medicine. So, and anytime when you have got questions, you can post your questions to Nehru Center, and we will be very happy to revert. And you surely can put forward your like individual problems also. Like if you have got a particular medical condition or a psychological condition, through Ayurveda, we will try to help you out. And there being no questions in sight, I would be seeking your permission for the time being. Very, very thankful to Nehru Center for the opportunity and looking forward to seeing you once again. Namaste.